Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Southbridge Street Live. It is my great honor to be visiting today with Ali Garza of Providence and Prosperity. So I am super excited to hear all about this organization, and then you guys have a big expo coming up in June.
Yes.
So because you're new, right? This is a new 5013C pending.
Yes.
Organization. Start at the very beginning, and let's tell everybody in our community what Providence and Prosperity is.
Providence and Prosperity started with Sky Sanchez in December 2017.
Yes, we got to give her a shout out. Love
Sky!
her. Woo-woo.
So we met at a speaking engagement, and something told me, which was probably, God, that we needed to partner up for something. So we met July 14th, 2018, and we just ran with the idea. We were two struggling mothers with a single income trying to make it. We made too much money for state benefits,
right?
But
not enough for
to make it through.
To make it, and I understand.
If she had a problem and I had a problem and we were both struggling, we thought maybe we're not the only ones.
Right.
So that's when we came up with. We ran with her idea. I bridged in there, and we decided to bridge the gap between our community resources and our residents, because some don't know about the resources that are in the Victoria community.
So tell me about the name, Providence and Prosperity.
Providence is chance and clarity.
Right.
Prosperity is not only, people think money,
right,
but prosperity is also the best, being the best version of yourself, how to prosper that, how to harness that. So putting those two together makes Providence and Prosperity.
I love that. I think that's wonderful. So tell me about how you guys are working through, because one of the things that I had read about your organization is unity, putting unity back in communities. So tell me about some of the mission.
Okay, we want to go back to the basics. We want to go back to your basic needs. You need shelter, transportation, you need food, resources. We want to connect those resources with our residents and say, let's help you out so that you can accomplish your best.
Sure, and by residents, do you mean residents throughout Victoria?
Crossroads
and
community.
County? Yes, okay, cool. So give me some ideas about some of the services that you guys provide, or what is your, how do people, number one, when you are a single income family, I thought that was really interesting that you guys had pointed that out. We're not just talking about single income moms, we're talking about families. There's dads there too. That's that kind of, there's families that struggle with one income. Tell me a little bit about bridging that gap. So are there resources that some Victoria residents don't know about?
Yes, there's a lot of resources. I want to say 65% of resources in the Victoria community go unnoticed.
No way.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a huge, now that is something that I find absolutely fascinating, 65% of the resources.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
We have, workforce. People think, oh, workforce is just to get a job. No, there's resources and grants at the workforce to help you get to your next educational goals or professional goals. There are food bank distributions that go on almost every day of the month in the Victoria community. There are grant money to help kids to go to school, get their GED, learn a trade in Victoria. There is, we have the Mid-Coast Thrift Store, we have free counseling, Stitch Ministries. People don't know or scared, or may be scared to make that phone call. Right. So Providence and Prosperity as a community leader will come and speak to the residents and say, what are your needs? What aren't being met? And be that middle person to the resources and say, we have a family that maybe, just be that middle person and say, you're going through life and it's hard. We all go through life, but we're going to go through this together. Right. This is what worked for me.
So that's it. That was the nugget that I was looking for, which is you guys will come into, like if I'm a family that is struggling. I watch this show. I'm very much like, wow, 65% of resources that I don't know. Perhaps it's just self-educating myself. So we would call you guys, and then you guys would come to the home.
Meet one-on-one and be part of
Wow.
of the journey.
Right, of bridging that. Now I get
Bridging
it.
that gap.
Exactly what you were saying. Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
So going into, like, because you were saying something about like the food bank and the resources and the distribution. Like, I just recently found out that like the Golden Crescent Food Bank services like 30,000, I think it is, meals in a month, or families. I mean, it was just like this staggering statistic. And I thought, wow, there are resources within even the food bank itself that we didn't know about.
Yes, they receive grants for, if you take a class there, they have a grant program. I don't remember what it's called,
Right.
but if you take a class there for nutrition, they will give you a coupon to use at the farmer's market on Saturday.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Yes, and
I
nobody
had no
knows.
idea. Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
that is, or that you know, that there's like backpacks. Well, they don't really do the backpacks now, as I understand, that they bag snacks and things like that for children to take for the
School.
weekend. So it is really like you're really going into these individual programs and pulling all of the resource that's
Yes.
available for families. That's amazing.
And it's not just food. It doesn't come down to just
Right.
food. There's a few housing, Prospera House through Fox
that's
Run and Houston
what I was
House.
gonna ask you
They
about.
have informative financial classes. They have resume writing classes. They do nutritional classes, diabetes classes, health classes, and fairs in the community. They also do food bank distribution. You know, I interned there last year, and I found out what they do, and I'm like, oh wow, I want to be a part of this. But there was that gap between the residents knowing about it, and these things were still going on. So we wanted to just say, hey, there's a class here, financial literacy class. You know, here we go.
What about travel? What about a transportation?
Transportation, that is to be seen.
Right, that's one of those struggles.
Yes.
You know what, earlier you had said, so I don't want to kind of put you on the spot, but I'm very curious about this, about the housing, you know,
Yes.
situation, because I'm seeing now that we are having, you know, that there are organizations now that are putting housing for homeless and things like that within our community. And you had said something that I thought was interesting, which is like the housing cost versus what our median income is.
Yes.
Is really, now, do you know if that is statewide, nationwide? Is that an...
U.S. Census Bureau did a survey in 2017. The median house value is $129,000. The median income is $52,000.
Wow, yeah,
So there's a gap.
right.
You know, how could we afford something that's 3 times our yearly income? You know, so that's where there's a gap. That's where we want to help people get to their next bus so that they can make more money, so that they can make it month to month and actually live fulfilled.
Right. So what about, because I'm already like, oh, I'm so in. What can community members do to help support your organization?
Right now, we're looking for vendors that want to get their name out there. We want to partner, you know, with these struggling families, and we're also looking for
Define vendors, sorry.
Okay.
Because you're talking about...
the expo. It's a life fair expo. It's not just a health expo. It's not just employment. It's not just education. It is all the above.
Okay, so let's do this, the whole expo thing.
Okay.
So June 15th,
Yes.
tell me the location of the expo.
1604 Crestwood, C3 Victory
Okay,
Church.
cool. C3 Victory Church. You're looking for vendors. Tell me
Yes.
about what kind of vendors you're looking for.
We're looking for education vendors. We're looking for other nonprofits in the community that reach out to veterans, that reach out to single moms, that reach out to single dads, to reach out to the youth, you know, that they want to get their name. We want to give them a platform to reach out to the community and say, hey, we're here too.
Right, I see what you're saying.
And
oh, cool.
We'll have 2 classrooms available, depending on scheduling. If they want to have an informative class for 45 to 55 minutes, explain what they do, get engagement from the community members that show up, you know, that's a perfect opportunity. So
And people who are in attendance that are coming to see this expo, is it free to the public?
Yes.
It's free to the public. So you're really you're hoping for vendors who work in nonprofit organizations or who do outreach for the community
Yes.
to come in to set up a booth
Yes.
so that they have a platform in which they can talk to the community.
Yes.
And then for the community, you're looking for people who are interested in your mission and who are who might be single income families who are looking for resources.
Yes.
I got it.
You got it.
That's awesome. I think that's fantastic. So what about the community at large who are interested, who are who want to take a vested interest in partnering with you as a whole, even outside of the expo? Do you look for volunteers?
We are looking for volunteers for the expo, but we are also trying to fill up our chair for our board. We will take ideas. Also, we are looking for funding.
Right. Funding is crucial.
It's crucial.
How close are you guys, you think, from the official stamp from the state of Texas? Or
For the
IRS?
501c3, we are actually working on our DBA today, but for the 501c3, we have 22 months from January 14th.
Right, gotcha.
So we want to get the 501c3 as soon as possible.
Right. And I'm only asking because we've been through that process. The Good News Network is a 501c3, and I was like, oh, it'll be so easy to make this a nonprofit because that's the kind of thing that speaks to me.
Yes.
And then I was like, and then months and months later, you're still working that out. But you guys you think that your trajectory is definitely
That's our end date, is we have to have that by
Wonderful.
22 months after
Very
July
cool.
14th.
Very,
Yes.
very cool.
But we want to see what kind of reaction we get from the community and from
Right.
resources. We want that confirmation to just say, okay, now we've done it, let's go further. Let's see what else we can do. What can we add in?
So Ali, because you're outspoken and I know that you do public speaking, can I ask you some just biographical questions?
Okay.
About yourself. You are a student
Yes.
and a single
Single mom.
So you have single income. So tell me kind of about where you feel like your biggest gaps are, or where when you guys were putting this together, like flag in the sand, we want to do this. What were some of the things that you were struggling with the most? And how has Providence and Prosperity helped you to overcome some of those obstacles? One, let me just say this, I'm sure being with like-minded individuals is so comforting to know.
Well, and I have to put in my testimony here.
That's fine, you're free to be
I lived a wayward life and was very depressed and in addiction. I moved into perpetual for 8 months, so I'm a perpetual help home alumni for 8 months. And at the end of that term, my husband had passed away. And I realized that I was my only kid's way, and they were leaning on me. So I got myself into school. I'm actually 6 weeks out for my associate's degree and a year out.
What are you majoring in?
Right now it's Associates in Arts and General Studies and in Human Resources.
That's awesome, congratulations.
And then my bachelor's, it will be a year from now, and it'll be organizational leadership. So yeah, and that's what drove me.
Right.
So I want to see what drives other people to say, hey, I've done it, let's do it, and then the resources that help along the way.
Right. That's fantastic. So in creating this, or in that struggle, and I didn't mean to go back to that, but what were some things that you were facing that sometimes that people who have dual income or don't, are not aware of what the struggle is?
The mindset. That we want to partner and break that mindset of I can't, that fear of failure, that fear of nobody's going to listen. I'm here to say today, people are going to listen.
Right.
They are, and people want to, but there's that second thought, but what if?
Right.
And I always say, if I'm asking for something, what if they say no? I'm in the same spot I was before. Right. But if they say yes, I'm that much further to my goal.
Right. And that's kind of where I was going with that, is that we were talking about some of the, definitely the mission, but the spiritualness underneath that. So I'm really glad that you shared that, because it is very much about the mindset.
Yes.
and staying in that mindset and not being able to overcome that mindset. So do you guys have things in place for when you come into a home?
Yes, I have been trained
working?
through Bridges of Hope in NAMI Austin. I have been trained with Quantum Circles Consulting for mediation, and looking for more trainings to, heighten my skills and my gifts for communication and to meet people where they're at, because it was so important for me when I moved into Perpetual that the ladies and the women there, that's their ministry, that's their heart, that's their passion.
Right.
They met me where I was at, and I want to provide that for more people in the community.
Wow. That's amazing. That's so amazing. And do you look back and you go, wow, this is incredible?
It's funny you should say that, because I've been praying about this for this interview for the past 3 months. So yes, it is so awesome to just look back and be like, wow. Honestly, May 18th, 2015 is when I moved into Perpetual.
Wow.
And here we are, April 2019. In 2015 at this time, I was in jail.
Wow.
So yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes, people, I was in jail.
Well, but then too, that there's hope, and
There's hope.
That there's, as long as you have hope, and you
Yes.
have a support system, and for some people it's faith.
Yes.
That is absolutely doable. It's doable to turn it around.
Yes. It doesn't matter how far you fall. It's how you get back up, and what pushes you to keep going.
I just want to end it with that. I think that's perfect. So it's Providence and Prosperity.
Providence and Prosperity.
June the 15th.
Yes.
And come out. And then where would you like for people to reach you? How can they get
through our
involved?
Facebook page. Our information's on our Facebook page is Providence & Prosperity on Facebook. We've actually been growing the last 3 weeks. We had 20 followers, and now we're almost to 1,000 in 3 weeks. So
Wow, that's
shout out to
incredible.
Kristen, our social media chairperson.
That's
Love you,
awesome.
bestie. So look on there. Our contact information is on there, or just reach out. Our emails are on there, telephone number. Come on, we
Perfect.
would like to hear what you're doing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much
No
for coming on
problem.
and for sharing that story and for building this organization, for our community. Allie, I really appreciate your time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I had fun.
Me too. Thank you guys. And thank you all so much for watching Southbridge Street Live.